T-minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Ignition.
Breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in 4 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4. Breathe out 6 seconds. Hello. This is Jonathan Calmus. I am your host of Low Gravity. Welcome to a new episode. I'm joined here with Carolina Alzate, who is the founder of Communal. It's one of the more interesting places I've seen here in Latin America, let alone Colombia. It is a co-working environment, but with one huge difference. It has the emphasis on human expansion, which may sound a little abstract, but I'll let you introduce yourself and talk a little bit about Communal.
Okay, hi everyone. I'm Carolina Alzate from Medellin. Yes, I'm the founder of Communal. I'm also Open Lab. So I have two companies.
Open Lab too, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, very much so. So before we talk about Communal and Open Lab and everything else, really the purpose of this podcast is kind of the hustle and what it takes to build a successful company and how much effort actually goes into an quote unquote overnight success. Talk a little bit about yourself. How did you end up opening this wonderful space and what gave you this idea? What was important in your life that actually led to this moment?
Okay, the beginning of this is, I think, 6 years ago, because I have a very hard part of my life. I lost a child. She was a little girl, and it was very hard for me, and also a divorce. So it changed the way that I think about the business, and I start thinking that it's not about collecting money. It's about collecting experience, being happy. So I start asking me if I'm happy, and my answer was no, I'm not happy.
Unfortunately, that's usually the answer, without constant reflection. Yeah.
So I start looking inside myself. I start experience different rituals, people, masters, food. I change everything in my life. All my way to live changed all the way. So I started thinking in this new way of life that I want to expand all this knowledge that I collect through these 6 years and share with the people, because a lot of people ask me, how do you live in that way? How is possible that you are always smiling? How is possible that you have this energy? You look very young. And I'm not as young that the people think.
I'm not going to ask how old you are.
37.
Okay.
So I start thinking that is my point of change, the breaking point. Okay. That's the correct word. So I start thinking that I want to share with people that be in a professional way is not different to live, and we can mix work with living, with lifestyle. So I want to bring my house to a new space here, but I also want to mix it with neuroscience, holistic way to do the things, and I also work with creativity. So when I read and I start researching about neuroscience, holistic rituals, and then the creativity techniques, I discovered that it's all the same. A lot.
It's kind of weird because we might use a dangerous word called spirituality here, which the only reason it's dangerous is because of the perception of what it is. Most of the characteristics that us as humans are looking for, at least in my observation, are just phrased differently from the perspective of the metaphor. So spirituality is a metaphor. When they talk about growth hacking and starting a crazy business, they're very much talking about a lot of the same thing. One of the fundamental parts about growing a new business and when you get a mentor, they always talk about you have to read a lot and don't just read books about business, read many different things so creatively you can start making connections. But even though we're talking about all the same topic, until very recently, people didn't accept it. And I think you have an incredible opportunity and you're very astute to be able to perceive the opportunity as well. 5 years ago, I don't think was the time. 20 years ago, absolutely was not the right time to start a project like what you're doing right now. Now we're actually encouraging deeper exploration into ourselves, especially from an industry perspective. So, all right, so you went through these really difficult times. You had this kind of revelation. You started pursuing happiness and whatever that meant to you. And after enough people asked you, you realized, okay, there's a business opportunity here and you want to share your learnings, but you also want to be an entrepreneur at the same time.
So I start redesigning my vision, what I want, how's the way that I want to live. What I want to surround myself with: sounds, people, materials, colors,
smells, yeah.
And I decided that I want to live in a very nice way. I love nature, and as you can see green here. I love colors. I love the nature of the wood. So I start thinking that I want to build a space with these special characteristics. And at the same time, I want to introduce the people that is going to work and have part of the events here. I want to share all the holistic things that I discover. So I try every day. I used to do Qigong.
What's Qigong?
Qigong is a Chinese practice that is very old. And I found a master here in Colombia that came from China. And I met a lot of leaders from different companies here that work with this kind of techniques. So I found...
What would the technique be? Like, what
the technique is like it's similar as a meditation, but it's a stand up and moving your body in a specific way. And
it's like maybe Tai Chi and meditation meet each other?
It can be similar, but it's different.
Okay.
And you iterate the 5 bodies. The full body have 5 divisions: the mental, the soul, the heart, the emotions, also the physical, and the vital. You know, this part irritates all the rest of the body. So when you practice Qigong, you can feel the power of
flow.
This. Yes, in different parts: mental, emotional, physical, your soul. So I start doing this, also changing the way that I move, the way that I practice exercise. So I change a lot of things, and I just want to show the people that you can expand your mind, listen different conversations. We have to talk here about divorce, love, babies, professional careers, a lot of things. We also have a very strong history about narco traffic in Medellin.
Yeah.
We have to talk about it because it's part of healing the process and getting knowledge from there. So I want this space be the origin of thinking different, open their minds, and having a new connections.
I want to just clarify something too. Like, people might be listening and they might immediately have that reaction that's like, oh, this is kind of hippie or bohemian, or this is the superpower that most leaders have done throughout their entire lives. These are the types of concepts and pursuits that actually change you from being just a regular manager to a leader. And it's a big difference in life. It's something I'm struggling with a lot right now. One of the virtues I'm trying to really kind of practice is patience. I don't have a lot of patience in my life, I don't think. And
I'm also learning that part of my life.
it's really hard.
Yes.
It's double hard. it's still hard because I come from a culture that's very fast paced. So I'm from Los Angeles and United States. And when we do things, we tend to not ask too many questions. Bureaucracy is definitely a part of business in the United States, but you're encouraged to make mistakes. And in Colombia and Latin America, the mentality and the nurturing and the upbringing is so much different than what I'm used to that I'm losing patience a lot. I'm finding myself very frustrated a lot, and venting a lot, talking about it, and just for no other reason except just talking. What you're describing and the pursuit of this, not to say that any of us are experts or masters, but just the acknowledgement that this is an important part is already the path to actually transforming into a life leader, I would call it. It's not only about your business, it's about everything you do in your life.
Okay. Yes. I have a team, and I also think that the leaders is not just to work, it's just to guide you to be better, even if it's outside of the company. So I try to show them different methodologies to confirm a way of thinking, to expand, to try to see the different point of view of the situation. Give the point to that person that you don't want to give them. But because when you try to see the other point of view, you expand your mind. Also, have a different reasons about the situation. So I try to guide them to different rituals, and I try different kind of exercises with them: mindfulness, yoga, affirmations from Louise Hay from California. I also try it, and a lot of different rituals and symbols, because the symbols try your subconscious brain, so it develops a better way to think about a topic.
If we were going to do an exercise right now and try to, discover something, have an epiphany, or at least just a different perspective, part of having a different perspective is the acknowledgement that we're wrong, which is a kind of scary word. It's scary to be wrong. It means you live in the abstract. You don't know what's real, quote unquote. And for many years, I had started my first company when I was 17 years old. So for many years, I had thought I was, the guy and I knew everything. And what's the exercise that you would recommend doing to someone for them to even be in the position to have an open mind? And because if you've never had the experience of the other perspective, it becomes very hard to accept it as another perspective.
The first question that I will do is, are you happy? Do you know what is to be happy? Because to be happy is not to have things, material things, because you're gonna have it. I assure you that. But it doesn't. It's not. No one is gonna assure you that when you get there, you are gonna be happy. And I was there.
How do we define happiness together?
Okay, for me, happiness is very simple. To be here right now, feeling great and enjoying this moment and giving to the space or the context or to you my best. That's it.
So hopefully being present in the moment, as they say.
Yes, I'm not thinking if my son what is he doing in the school, or what is happening with this girl that is working outside of the office, or what is happening outside of this space. No, I don't care. I'm here with you, giving my best.
How do you do that? I know the practice and I know the meditation and stuff. How do you do that though? Like I find myself in the middle of some other task and thinking about 20 other things simultaneously.
Okay, I have a practice that I started doing 2 years ago. I made a list of my fears.
Okay.
So I start giving me the permission to confronting. So the first one, going to a river and jump from the
puente, from the whatever. Okay. Just jumping from a high.
Yes, jumping from a high
altitude.
So it was very confronting to me. But I did it, and I feel great. I feel power, and I feel I don't have anymore this fear. Then the second one, travel alone. So I went to New York alone, and I have a great time with myself, and I came back with more power. So I feel powerful, And at the same time, I don't feel nothing can take out my calm right now, because I know that I can confront these fears because I practice. And at the same time, my attention is playing here. That is, my brain is not developing a new idea.
Yeah, it's focus.
Yes, it's trying to be very focused here. And when I catch up my mind going outside, I came back.
It's kind of like, from what I'm hearing from what you're saying, is from your perspective, it almost sounds like distraction is rooted in fear. And that actually makes a lot of sense with me. I don't know if maybe I'm just interpreting it the way I want to hear it, but when I get distracted, it's very rarely about something positive. It's usually about some negative feeling. And I would even go as far as saying fear, like the fear of what is this person doing when they're not in the office, the fear of whether or not we're going to be successful, whether or not we're going to close that round, whether or not we're this, that, and your brain can go in a million directions. And that's a good way to put it, actually. And it's kind of more actionable even when you think about it from the perspective of fear and focus and distraction. Because, whoa, I'm having a little bit of an epiphany myself right now. When you unravel all of those things that are kind of just emotionally and mentally keeping you down and bundled up, you start very quickly realizing none of those are connected to positive emotions or reactions or even thoughts, is the truth. And so wow, that's really nice. Okay,
I'm gonna explain you that very deeply. Your mind creates thoughts. And it develops emotions. Okay, so it is stimulate, and the consequence are the emotions.
So first you have the thought yes. triggers the emotion.
And you can recreate an emotion. So anxiety. Yes? Okay. Is when you are thinking about something is going to happen, that your mind is creating something that is not really happening, but your mind recreated in the future. But also can recreate something from the past and start making a monster inside your brain. So you have two options here. Please start thinking, this is part of my past, it's not part of my present, it's not reality, because here is my reality, is not here. And then the future, it doesn't exist. So, okay.
Who knows, yeah.
Then you have a different tools. For anxiety, I used to wear pink. I eat things from the earth, salads.
So you would give yourself physical and visual cues to ground the abstractness.
Yes, and I put symbols in this. So I bring this stone with me, this crystal.
And it represents something.
Yes, I breathe. I make visualizations in positive way. I write a lot what I'm thinking, 3 pages every morning I try. Because with this exercise, the brain, you can make it think that is outside your brain just writing. Because you can stimulate your brain in a very different way.
In any way. Like
you can travel just with a meditation.
Totally. You said that you liked researching neuroscience and stuff, so you got me thinking about something. Memory, the feeling that you feel now is not the feeling you felt when you had the feeling. It's the memory of the time you felt it.
Yes.
And memory is so plastic and it's so easy to manipulate that we build these horrible stories in our heads.
Yes.
And we relive it. And in fact, maybe even 4 or 5 years later, that feeling of embarrassment or the feeling of fear or whatever it is actually amplifies because we're not actually feeling the feeling. We're feeling the remembrance of the feeling. And it's a weird concept there. That's awesome.
But that's why from neuroscience, you can train your mind.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm discovering. 6 years ago, I was afraid to post a picture from myself in Instagram. Right now, I don't care, and I post a lot of things. But what changed? That I think different from me.
Why were you scared to post pictures on Instagram?
Because I don't know, but
pride
girls, we are very insecure.
Okay.
And we
It
think
was an
everyone is
insecurity
going to
thing.
zoom your picture and see something that no one
will ever see.
But we're thinking that way.
I'm going to draw an analogy to how a lot of entrepreneurs think. We're all waiting for that perfect moment. We're all trying to release the perfect product. We all overanalyze and think that someone's going to zoom in and really look at all of the details. And the reality is not. It's as the creator, as the artist, whatever you want to draw the comparison to, we're the worst critics of ourselves. And it becomes really important. This is a good example of what you're saying. It becomes really important to detach yourself from those feelings, because otherwise you're going to wait for the perfect moment and you'll lose a ton of opportunities.
I start this warehouse with the 20% of the budget.
And you figured it out.
Yes.
And over time,
this morning, I closed the business.
Hey, congratulations. Very nice. Felicitaciones.
Thank you. I'm so happy today. But I pass moments of fear.
Obviously, it's
But I refuge myself in yoga, dancing, writing, having a good and healthy food, having right conversations with positive people that punch you up, like you can do it. You can I help you with something? Not with toxic people that say you bad things. I surround myself just with these kind of things.
Right now, this word toxic people, toxic whatever in general is being used a lot. It's kind of like, what is toxic to you? Because
it's not about that the people is bad people. No, all the people is good people, even a sinner.
Even the bad quote unquote person.
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
Everyone has a past
Absolutely.
and a different experience, and from that point they decided what is good or not. But you can change.
Meditations from Marcus Aurelius very much emphasizes this. It was written as a journal, as a diary, by the last great emperor, right? And one of the consistent patterns that he writes about all the time is anything that's human or natural is beautiful, even the ugly things, even the serial killer. There is something human about that. There's something, and it's a really kind of scary thought almost to think about. But there's an important point there: is we're all people. We're all sharing this experience. We're all part of the same thing. So just as you said, the quote unquote sinner, he's not a bad person per se. What makes that person toxic?
Okay, I think the childhood, the experience that they live, we all have a different experience. I grew up in a very violent environment here in Medellin. So I was surrounded by narco-traffic, violence, sexual abuse, sexual abusers, and a lot of bad things. And I'm from that place. So I think I was very toxic with myself and with different people, and I accepted. But the first day that I accepted, I also challenged myself to reinvent myself and to have a new direction in my life. So I make a list. What I see, these news are so bad, I'm gonna erase it from my life.
See it,
okay. Yeah. What I hear, what I eat, what I feel, what I taste, everything around myself. So I start canceling with meetings with people, and I start designing a new way to surround myself, and all my reality change.
Yeah, absolutely. I can understand that. That's really hard.
It's not science. It's very easy. But, you have to decide it and you have to do it, because it's like a gym. If you don't go to the gym, how is possible you get that body?
The results.
Yes.
I think the hard part is starting. I don't think the hard part is doing. Many times people put a lot of emphasis on, this isn't done. Why aren't you getting the results you're looking for? And it's simply because the person never started. Additional to that is consistency. Once you start, you have to keep the routine. Otherwise, you lose a lot of the growth that you just had. But it's very much about starting And it's very much about keeping that flow and being rigid with yourself about the rules of the routine, not rigid with yourself about everything. Because I really do love to live in the abstract. I think it's one of the most creative spaces we can live in. And it's probably also why I don't get along with many people, is because the abstract leaves a lot of room for creativity. I mean, you could literally create the world in your head. And when things aren't tangible, it's very, very scary to people. It's why most people don't start. And they're kind of the same topic tied to each other.
I call that make visible the invisible.
Make visible the invisible.
Yes. This space was an empty warehouse, ugly warehouse. And when I saw it, I said, okay, I can visualize it. It's going to be amazing. But the first people that come to me, the investors that comes to...
You don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah,
you're
they
crazy.
Laughed. She's crazy.
What's she going to do here?
Yes. But
if they saw it today, they would change their mind, obviously.
The same guy that didn't believe me come to me and say, oh my God, this is amazing. We want to be part of it. Okay. Because not all the people trust making tangibles the things, you know. Not all the people can visualize, but that's a problem with the mind that they have, because their minds doesn't allow them to visualize in a big opportunity, a big business, or I can go to that place. So when I ask people, the second question that I do to the people is, what are your dreams? And why? It's not no one, it's very normal to say, I want to learn a different language, I want to travel, I want to have more time, but they don't know what to do with that time. So I think what apart us from the people that we admire is our mentality. Our mentality is or closed or very open, but it's not just to be open, it's just do it and make it visible, make it material.
You're talking about a topic that's really important in life and startups and business in general, which is execution. The transference between the invisible to the visible is the process it takes to actually make something, you know, physical, tangible, and as you say it, visible to the universe. I don't know. I always wonder about this because part of me wants to believe I'm like a secret visionary, and when someone doesn't understand me, that, you know, they're out of my tribe. They don't know what I'm talking about.
Maybe you have to try to trying to be a better storyteller.
Exactly.
And also try to get an inception into their minds and show them that they can recreate your idea inside. But it's not telling them.
No.
It's showing the points.
And it's also exactly. Connect the dots.
Yes.
Albert Einstein says that if you can't explain something to a child, it means you don't understand it. And I use this as my rule of thumb. If I can't inspire someone to see at least enough of what I see, then I don't understand it enough yet. It's still abstract, and it still needs more of that making the visible out of the invisible, in my perspective. We're almost out of time here. What's a good exercise, a good practice someone can do, very small, like the smallest first step someone can do towards putting an emphasis on themselves for the betterment of their company and the people that they love and the people that they surround themselves with?
Right? Yes, I think writing is the best and cheap exercise. Just a paper, an ink, and a good coffee or tea. But, you know, I think it's a very good therapy. Start writing 3 pages every morning, and your brain is gonna feel better. The problem, if you read the things that you wrote 3 months ago, you're gonna be surprised because the subconscious think that he can apart the problem with the writing and then start developing solutions. So you start seeing solution, visualizing solution in every person and situation, and it's your brain working for you. That's neuroscience. So if you use it you're gonna be better in a short time. And also, I am always surrounded by symbols, crystals, candles, smells, aromatherapy. I use a lot of aromatherapy because your brain recreate emotions and situations just with the smell.
Based on there's a practice called neuro-linguistics programming.
Mm-hmm.
Are you familiar with it?
Mm-hmm.
And they talk very much about anchors and triggers, and that's the terminology they use. For anyone who's listening that's a little uncomfortable maybe with the concept of crystals and things like that, it's not about what the item is, it's about what it provokes and what feeling and memory and what you're trying to achieve. And you could replace the crystal for a photo of your family if you're working really hard. And this is like really typical, basic reprogramming your brain type of conversation. So I really want to emphasize that these practices are not about, you know, a group of long-haired hippies who haven't showered in a long time. And I've said this already. But
I love luxury also. No.
Yes,
I know.
That's my point. I want to really like emphasize that point because these are all metaphors that are unique to the individual. What's more important is the framework and the structure and the pursuit. And the more you implement that into your life, you can replace the crystals for a plant or whatever you want to do, but you can build the environment around you that's actually reminding you of all of the blessings and benefits you have in your life, and the reason that you're doing what we do. This was awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you for inviting me.
I'm in your place again. There's this kind of funny thing.
Thank you for coming and record me.
Thank you. For more information on achieving your human potential and human expansion, you can follow Communal on Instagram at COMMUNAL.co. You can also follow Carolina at CARALZATE.Latina on Instagram, or check out their website at amantesdementes.com. If you're interested in launching your own micromobility fleet, go to www.cosmicgo.co.